Good evening everyone and welcome to the second round of the Simsport Racing International GT4 season from the Nurburgring, Germany. From the stunning mountainside circuit at Kyalami in the hills above the Johannesburg and South Africa to the Eiffel Forest and one of the most notorious names in the motorsport world. Built in 1984 and altered to match modern standards in 2002, the 5.148-kilometre Nürburgring GP Strecke has become a favourite amongst GT drivers for its corner variety and old-school flow. The tight opening first turn is one of several overtaking opportunities on the 15-turn layout, but arguably the most likely place for the drama to stage itself. But don't discount the remaining 14 corners from throwing up a few surprises. Despite being attached to the infamous green hell, the Nordschleife, the Nürburgring offers plenty of character and racing opportunity. It's a true driver's circuit with every turn a chance to stand out from the crowd for both better or for worse. Good evening, I'm Tim Fulbrook, back to guide you through the action once again. I'm flying solo tonight, so I'm very much looking forward to getting involved with all of you watching on the live feed. The broadcasts have been getting plenty of views in this new era for the SSRI community, so let's try and continue that positive step with plenty of likes and comments throughout the event. I'll be making sure my eyes I've got one eye on the action, one eye on the live chat. Hello already to those who have joined, to Mark Neutelings and Her Janus, as well as Princey97. Thank you very much for dropping by, and I hope you stick around for what is promising to be another exciting GT4 event. And it's worth mentioning that the now combined community has over 1,000 members, has logged over 500 sim racing events up until the start of this new season, and sees more racing action than you'll probably be able to handle. It's a great time to get involved with the community. So if you do want to join Simsport Racing International, then please visit our socials. You'll find us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, or check out our website, simsport-racing.com, where you'll find our calendar of events, link to our Discord server, and everything you'll need to know. So round two then here from the Nürburgring. Speaking of calendar of events, why don't we have a look at where and when we'll be racing in this GT4 season. We kick-started things at Imola, 60-minute race, no mandatory stop at the Italian circuit. Then we fly north, stay in Europe to this. Actually, I believe this is the GT3 calendar, but this is another one of the events seasons that we're running alongside our GT4 championship. A number of the same racetracks visited, different formats as well. Here we go. Here's the GT4 season. Yes, we did start in Kyalami. I didn't think I was going crazy. 60 minutes, flag to flag, no mandatory stop. One of our only races in the Southern Hemisphere. And then we fly north. We are into the Nürburgring. This is tonight's event. 75 minutes and one mandatory stop. It's our first pit stop event of the season. Then we'll go to Misano for the first of our two double-header events, two 30-minute sprints with no mandatory stop. That's going to be an exciting evening, packed full of racing action. Then we go to the dunes of Zandvoort, near to the North Sea, for another 60-minute affair, the fourth round of the season, before we fly almost perfectly due west, if you were to look at the coordinates, to Silverstone for round 5, for another 60-minute race, no mandatory stop. Then we're back to Italy and to Imola for round 6, 75 minutes, one mandatory stop for the final race of the season, taking place at Donington Park. Two 30-minute events there. So we've had one race already, Kyalami, 60 minutes flag to flag, and here we are at the Nürburgring for 75 minutes, one pit stop required during the event. And now the qualifying session has begun, 20 minutes of action, but we're going to be joining halfway through. So before we do, let's have a look at the track we'll be racing on tonight. I'm sure it's one that many of you will be familiar with, but if not, here's a quick guide to the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, the GP Strecke. The long run down from the start-finish straight to that opening tricky turn 1. The cars are at their slowest speeds through the Mercedes arena. They then double left and right again as they exit that sequence, down the hill towards Sector 2, where they'll plunge through the left and the right into the bottom turn 8, which is has a few different names, I believe. Then they head up the hill through the Michael Schumacher S's, through the left and right at turns 10 and 11, then through Ad Van Bogen, a fast kink towards the final chicane. The left-right sequence, a good overtaking opportunity on the standard Grand Prix layout, but of course in ACC a slightly different chicane format, so it's quite a fast flick through the left and the right. Then the final turn at Coca-Cola before they head on to the start-finish straight and do it all over again. Qualifying is underway then, and we're heading over to live pictures. There's a shot of that tricky turn 1, heavy braking zone. Find cars going 4 wide at the starts of races into there, and if any tears are going to occur, you get the feeling it's going to come from there. Nearly halfway through the session, and it's our Kyalami race winner, Lewis Dykes, who currently tops the times with a 2-minute 3.707. As we see Will Dendy on your screen, his teammate in the Mob 7 Esports number 28 McLaren, making his way past traffic into turn 1. Get the feeling this lap might be sacrificed to some extent. Either that, or you manage to utilise the tow to counteract any time lost by passing the bright yellow Porsche there into turn 1. On the exit of the Mercedes arena, got to be careful on the exit of the right-hander there. You fly over to the left-hand side, almost painfully understeering wide, but run too wide, you'll find your lap invalidated very early on, and then you've got to trundle around the next 2 sectors before you get another shot at it. And with lap times over 2 minutes already, the clock is ticking as we hit the halfway point of the session. A yellow flag up ahead. It looks like the number 570 is off. That's Frank Hopp's McLaren. Has managed to find his way off into the sand and potentially off into the barrier. The green flag's waving then back up the hill. Cleans track ahead for Will Dendy as he goes past Dykes on the run up to the Michael Schumacher S. They are running in tandem in this qualifying session, it seems, trying to benefit from being close together on track to get a tow. Then into the fast left at the top of the hill. Good overtaking opportunity if you can carry the speed up through the S's, as we saw Lewis Dykes there, I think, completely obliterate one of the polystyrene markers on the outside of the circuit. Then you run out of turn 11, Warsteiner curve, down the hill through Ad van Bogen at turn 12. It's completely flat. You then begin the climb up into the chicane. This is a really tricky section of track because you have to throw the car in, and as you can see there, as Will Dendy clips that secondary curve, it's so easy just to drop the car and make a mistake. And look at that, right at the end, Dendy retires to pit lane. That lap, an error, it appears, in that final 2-3 corners, really putting all that hard work to no use. Kieran Vidal goes up inside the top 3. Here's Dimitri Schenk down in P15. The number 8 Audi looking for another strong qualifying performance. He had a really good race out last time at Kyalami, finishing qualified 12th. Let's see if he can get inside the top 10 this time. Yes, crosses the line and goes P8 in that number 8 Audi. So it's all 8s for Dimitri Schenk at the moment. Here's Bas van Mellis in the number 11 Mode 11 Racing Porsche Cayman GT4. Heads down the hill through the right. He's got a slight slipstream potentially off the car in front, but he opts not to take it. He's currently leading the way for our AM class category as they thunder down towards turn 8 at the bottom of the hill. Lovely cambered corner. You might see drivers trying to use different lines through there, albeit not as extreme as the updated cambered sections at Zandvoort with the turns 4 so heavily banked like a NASCAR circuit, and of course the final turn. But there is opportunity there for turn 8 at the bottom of the hill to use a different line. See some drivers V'ing off the corner. What I mean by that is going in deep, getting the car rotated, almost 2 car widths away from the inside of the corner, and then trying to apply the throttle as early as possible and straighten up the exit for a good run up the hill. And in these GT4 cars, momentum is everything. Bas van Mellis then comes up towards the chicane. Will we see him improve? He's currently down in 15th place. He's just under 2 seconds off the provisional pole time. It looks to be a solid lap from Baz at the moment. So out of the final corner, onto the start-finish straight. He will cross the line. Does he improve from 15th place? Yes! Up into the top 10 for Baz. Another great improvement into this second half of the qualifying session. Now he finds over 0.4 of a second on that previous lap, and he heads straight back to pit lane. I wonder if Baz is happy with that and doesn't think he can find anything else, extract any more speed from the car. As here is Stefan Arvidsson in the 39 Garage RIP 101 Porsche Cayman. He's heading out on a lap. He's got a nice clear track ahead of him. I think the next car ahead is the 313, which is Patrick Treffers. But it looks like there's a big enough gap that he shouldn't find himself tripping up on other cars around this lap. 6.25 minutes to go in this qualifying session ahead of our 75-minute race here at the Nürburgring GP Strecker. Arvidsson clipping the grass on the run through turn 5 and trying to get the car stopped into turn 6. A little bit wider of the apex than maybe he would have liked, or is maybe optimum, but he keeps the momentum up on exit and uses all the curb. Then he charges down the hill through this slight left before straightening up the braking zone into turn 8. Gets the car in fairly strongly as well, but runs wide slightly on the exit there. He would be hoping to have picked up the throttle nice and early. Up the hill, all the curb on the entry. Avoid that first apex curb, but he runs off into the gravel, dips a couple of wheels there. You saw the dust being kicked up from behind the car. Now I wonder if Stefan's going to continue on or whether he's already backed out of it as he heads through the left-hander at the top of the hill and up towards the Vorsteiner curve into the right-hander. He does look to still be pushing on, so maybe he just wants to get back round to the start-finish line with plenty of time left to play with. Good evening to everyone watching on as well. Hello to Princey. Yes, I've got plenty of fluids with me to keep me going through the next hour or so. And I hope you guys are all ready and raring to go. Arvidsson nearly veering into pit lane there. Clearly a bit unsettled on this lap. Under 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Round the final corner. Let's see. P17 he's dropped to in the last few moments. Can he climb up the order? Crosses the line. No. 2.4 seconds slower than his best. So I really get the feeling that Arvidsson backed out of that lap. Here's Regan Mitchell, one of the standout drivers because, well, not only for his racing talent, but because of the car he's decided to wheel in this GT4 season. It's the Maserati Gran Turismo. Now, if anyone's happened to take this car out for a drive on ACC, you'll know that it lacks the modern amenities that many GT4 cars do. No ABS, no traction control. So the Zandvoort Simsport driver is really having to modulate and be careful with his inputs to avoid any sort of drama. He's currently in P8. And he's got Bas van Mellis behind him. He looks to be using the number 3 car as a bit of a reference point, winding up for this next lap. As here they come then on to the start-finish straight. Mitchell 8th. Is he going to improve on this lap? No, I believe that was a warm-up lap, another lap that was 2 seconds off his best. A bit of traffic ahead of him, but I'm sure Mitchell will be able to navigate that before heading around on his lap. Damien de Keyser here in the Pulse Motorsport, number 77. He's in P14. And we'll be looking to try and jump up into that top 10 on the grid. De Keyser last time out qualifying P16, so he's bettered that so far, but there is opportunity to go a few spots better if you can keep the pace up as he heads up the hill towards the Michael Schumacher S. Not using as much curb on the way in as we saw Arvidsson doing so. Just manages to keep it off the beach there on the run through the second part of the S's. All the curb on exit as well as he comes up towards the left-hander at turn 10. All the curb on exit as well into the Vorsteiner curve. This is a really tricky corner to get the car turned in. Find yourself catching a slide, and although you might manage to save the car from any sort of incident, it's just momentum lost as you run then through Ad Van Bogen and up the hill towards the chicane. Let's see how late he brakes. Just after the 50-metre board it looked there as we cut to the car. Through the left and the right. All of the curb and then some more on the exit, but it's an elevated curb there. It's really easy to just get the car dislodged and find yourself chasing to stop an incident from happening. But across the line, De Keyser, does he improve from P14? Oh, it's close. 3/10 off his best time, a 2:05.7 on that previous lap, but his 2:05.465 is his best, and he's got some 1.7 seconds off our current pole pace set by Lewis Dykes. He heads the field with that 2:03.707, still the benchmark for the drivers out there on track. He's faster than Will Dendy by just shy of 1.5 of a second. Then it's Kieran Vidago and Aaron Martin Pilkington, your top 4. Dave Hedges, Xander Vale, Richardson, Mitchell, Schenk and Isalovic, your top 10. They're separated by 1.5 seconds, just as the nature of this GT4 racing, how close the action can be. The top 17 separated by 2 seconds, and around a Grand Prix circuit like the one here at the Nürburgring, that's certainly nothing to bat an eyelid at. Patrick Vance improves He leaps up from outside the top 15 to go P9. It's a really strong lap from Vance there. He'll be really pleased with that after qualifying 22nd place at Kyalami. He's clearly found some speed in his machine this race event. Evan Atafas across the line. He's P27 at the moment as a whole host of AM cars block out that final section of the standings from P26 down. Xander Westenberg here. We're watching the number 68, the Chevrolet Camaro. You can certainly hear this car coming from a long way away as he heads up towards the chicane. Into the left and right, a little bit wider than he would have liked in that first apex. And towards the final corner, as late as you dare on the brakes. It's the last time to make a mistake, and you don't want to put in a really good lap and find your delta turning red as you exit the final corner. P34 at the moment, crosses the line. Does he improve? Yes, but unfortunately for Xander, it's not enough to improve his position. He stays outside the top 30. Adi Misalovic then is in P11 as we about to wave the checkered flag on this session. Will Dendy has taken pole position at the moment. He's put in a 2:03.5 to leap ahead of his teammate as Isalovic goes bounding over the curbs at the chicane on the run up to the final corner. This is his last opportunity to improve. On the exit of the Coca-Cola curve and up towards the start-finish line. Isalovic P11 for now, crosses the line up to P10. He eliminates Patrick Vance from that top 10 spot. Knocks the Porsche driver down to 11th, albeit by 0.06 of a second. Xander Vale up in P4. He's the only driver inside the top 5, still out there on a lap. He thunders through the chicane, clips the curb at the second part. There's a car off in front of him. That would have cost him mental tense, I'm sure of it, as he tried to avoid the spinning Cayman. Out of the Coca-Cola curve, he pulls off the curb as soon as he can, runs the line, a second to find, finds a couple of tenths, and Xander Vale will stay in P4. Checkered flag is waved. Now there are a couple of cars, I believe, still out on track, some coming through the final corner just to complete their last laps and their last ditch attempts to improve their position. One of those being Dennis Workman in the 222 Mercedes. Heads up towards the chicane. Oh, heaps of understeer on the way in and then having to catch a slide as well, and that just sent Dennis off into the gravel. He didn't even get close to that first apex. What a shame for Dennis. But that is qualifying complete here at the Nürburgring. 75 minutes now ahead of us. Here is the order from your qualifying session. It is Will Dendy who takes pole position with a stunning lap to knock his teammate Lewis Dykes from top spot. He set a 2 minutes 3.547. Purple in the first and last sectors, just managing to find the edge over his teammate. It was a close margin though, 0.160 of a second. Then it will be Kieran Vidago in third. A really strong qualifying again from Vidago. He seems to find himself in that P3 position as he did, picks up where he left off in Kyalami. He was third place there and spent the majority of the race in that final podium position. Xander Vale in P4, a really strong lap from the 808, and our first non-McLaren on the grid inside the top 5. Wonder if Xander will be able to throw a cat amongst the pigeons, or a Porsche amongst the McLarens, as you might say, in this race this evening. Drivers are on the grid now and will just be preparing their setups as well as preparing their thoughts and maybe how they feel about strategy going into this 75-minute race. Now, before we get going, let's take a look at the chat. Hello to everyone who's watching on, to Sem Racing, to Aaron VD and Mike Abrenhoser. Thank you very much for dropping by, as well as Alex Crawford, who says the Camaro sounds lovely. Yes, it does. That V8 Rumble, it is brilliant. And I'm not sure it's the exact same engine as the one found in the Chevrolet C07R GTE, but it certainly makes a very similar noise to that pretty iconic racer, or at least one of my personal favourites. But a fantastic noise from that Camaro, and I love watching the real world GT4 action because the trackside cameras can pick up that car from a long way away. You can hear it rumbling in the background. Aaron VD putting in his thoughts towards the race this evening. Hope Kieran can keep up with the Mob 7 crew for a nice fight. That would be good to see. Kieran was close last time out at Kyalami. He was there or thereabouts. He had good pace, and he sounded pretty pleased with his pace and his personal performance, but it wasn't enough to keep onto the coattails of Lewis Dykes, who of course battled hard with Robbie Stapleford for that win. Will Dendy picked up a penalty from pole as they came across the start-finish line, so he'll be wanting to avoid that same fate again this evening. He managed to claw his way back up into the top 5, but then would receive a penalty for some of the action that took place during his race. Hello to SJS Games 14, as well to Marika Van Mellis. Hello, Mrs. Van Mellis. Your son, he's on pole once again in the AM category. He goes from P12 on the grid. The cars do look excellent as the sun is setting over the Nürburgring. So let's take a run through the order then. We do like to have a look at the grid before they pull away on their parade lap. It is Will Dendy who heads up Mob 7 Esports 1-2. But he also heads a McLaren 1-2-3 because there's Kieran Vidago in P3 on the second row alongside Xander Vale in the number 808 Porsche. Then it's Aaron Martin Pilkington in P5 with Dave Hedges alongside him in the number 88 Simsport International McLaren. Then on the left-hand side of your screen, we have Richardson in the Porsche Cayman alongside Regan Mitchell in P8 in the dark blue Zancho Maserati. Then it's Dmitry Schenk up inside the top 10 alongside Adam Misalovic, who rounds out those top 10 positions. Then it's Patrick Vance and Baz Van Mellis, who leads the way in the AM class with the black and white livery Porsche Cayman with the red mirrors. Then to the left-hand side of your screen, the black and gold Ginetta of Richards with Pixie alongside. Then it's Damien De Keyser and Frank Hopp in the pink and almost green, I would say, McLaren, the number 570. Then it's Stefan Arvidsson. It goes from 17th place along Thomas Van Schaik. Then it's Danny De Swart and Nicholas Malott. Malott, another driver who'll be looking to get amongst the action tonight and pick up a better result than he did at Kyalami. He goes from P20. Then it's Geordie Bakker, Cooper and Lermans, as well as Dennis Verkman, who rounds out the top 24. It was a really difficult event for Verkman last time out. He really did seem amongst the action, as well as a number of drivers getting caught up in dramas. We see these last few positions, including Evan Daffas, who goes from P28, Denise Pope P29. So the Wilding Racing cars are all together on the grid. They'll be looking to climb up the ladder in their pink and navy blue Ginettas. Then it's the number 32 of Jan-Paul Eikelenboom. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen the Bumblebee liveried Mercedes. Daniel Herkstra, Zander Vestenberg, and the Camaro at the back of the grid. Just to complete things there, the white and orange car on the left-hand side of your screen, the number 73, out there on track. So, pulling away from the grid, heading out onto this parade lap. What is going through Dendy's mind? Well, he won't want to be thinking about what happened last time out at Kyalami as Dykes lights up the rear of his McLaren on the exit of turn 1. He won't want to pick up another one of those penalties because that was absolutely disastrous in terms of his race. He would have been there fighting with Dykes and Stapleford for the race win. Fortunately, he had a lot of work to do after picking up the drive-through at the start. He left it a couple of laps to serve, tried his best to pull a gap, but it wasn't enough. He had to settle for P5 and then points penalties after that. Nicholas Malott on screen in the black and red Porsche Cayman, a driver who was certainly impressive during the final couple of seasons of the SRI GT4. The penultimate season, indeed, he seemed to be up there fighting inside the top 10. But since then, he looks to have struggled and really is finding himself up against it now. Such is the level of competition that a driver so regularly inside the top 10 is now having to fight to get inside the top 20. That being said, he is in the AM class now, so he's fighting against those drivers in this second division, if you like, and although it might be listed as the second division, the racing is no less frantic or exciting or worth your time as the drivers head down the hill in towards turn 7. Ross Chain joining on in the YouTube chat, cheering on Lewis Dykes. Goes from second place. Race win last time out. Wouldn't be a surprise to see the driver of the number 19 bag another race victory this evening. As he runs up, they run up now towards this last sector of the lap. Last few moments to prepare the cars, prepare themselves for 75 minutes of action. There will be one pit stop required. Now, if you look to the left-hand side of your screen, to the timing tower, you'll see the drivers' names. You'll see the brand of the car they're driving, their number. Then next to that, there is an orange column at the moment with the number 1 in. That orange box will turn green once the driver has completed their mandatory stop. So you'll get a good idea of, once the grid begins to shuffle during the pit stop phases, as to who's where and who will end up in gaining positions or losing them if they have to take a pit stop, or if they've already done so and are waiting to others to visit pit lane. So get ready, settle down, find a seat if you want one, but I don't think you'll be sitting on it for too long, because the action is about to get underway here at the Nürburgring. Rounding the chicane up towards the Coca-Cola curve, it will be Will Dendy that will lead the field around the final corner and towards the green flag to kick-start 75 minutes of racing action, round 2 of the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championship. Kieran Vidago will go from third. It's a McLaren 1-2-3 as they run up towards the line. The field of near 40 cars rounds the final corner into their 2x2 grid formation. And we go green at the Nürburgring. It's a great start from Will Dendy. He doesn't pick up the penalty that he found himself having to carry last time out at Kyalami. He defends the inside from Lewis Dykes as they head down towards the first corner. This is where the drama might kick off. Dykes trying to defend from Vidago on the inside, opting to go the long way around. That becomes the inside line for turn 2. As we cut to an aerial shot, you can see all the cars managing to get through. It looks like not a single casualty through the tight turn 1 hairpin. As we continue on through the Mercedes arena, Dykes out wide, but he'll be able to defend his position through the final right-hander of the sequence from Kieran Vidago. It looks like Aaron Martin Pilkington has got up to P4 in the number 113 Audi, as the quartet at the front look to try and bridge a gap, or at least develop one, to the cars behind. Then it's Sander Vale, who I think has actually lost another position to the Cayman of Richardson, who looks to have had a great start and climbed up a few spots. There is a yellow flag out at the number 222. That's Dennis Workman, I believe, has had an incident at the top of the hill in turns 5 and 6, yet to get going. It returns to the track now. There he is, and from P15 he's going to find himself all the way at the back of the train with the number 570. That's Frank Hopp, a driver who we saw was off in qualifying. Here is Andrew Richardson up into P7. A great start from the driver of the number 24. His black and gold Cayman is inside that top 5 now, I believe, as they go through the timing line. As Dykes looks for a way past Dendy, and Vidago's going to try and capitalise on this, optimising that exit. And he's right tucked up under the rear wing of Dykes in front. 1, 2, 3 McLarens fly past the screen, and then it's Aaron Martin Pilkington who's looking to wait in the wings in case any drama kicks off. Vidago looks to the inside, but moves back to the racing line as they come through the chicane for the first time. Dendy bobbles across the curb and headbutts the cone as he goes through the right-handed part. And Dykes is absolutely glued to his rear bumper through the final corner at Coca-Cola. We complete this opening lap of racing as Adam Isalovic looks to have had an incident, at least, who has dropped behind Regan Mitchell. They're side by side through the final corner and onto the start-finish straight. But it's Dendy that leads the way from Dykes, Vidago and Aaron Martin Pilkington. Richardson up to P5. As Isalovic looks to the inside, Mitchell defends. Oh, and there's contact. That's Lewis Dykes being shuffled out wide by Aaron Martin Pilkington as Kieran Vidago looks to try and swoop around the outside. Use the momentum off that outside line, NASCAR style high side, and try and get past Lewis Dykes, but the number 19 is able to hold on to P2, and all of this fighting has enabled Will Dendy to just scamper off into the distance. Look at that, he's not even in the same camera shot as the rest of the field as they exit the Mercedes arena for the second time. Out into the second sector of this second lap of racing, Dendy able to just put a few tenths between himself and Dykes, but Dykes will be putting the hammer down and not wanting to let his teammate escape too far up the field. Then it's Vidago and Aaron Martin Pilkington, who actually has lost a spot to Richardson. So Richardson continues his climb from P7 up into P4 now, as they exit turn 7 at the bottom of the hill. There's a train of cars forming behind the black and gold Cayman that includes Martin Pilkington, Vale, Hedges. Dmitry Schenk as well is there as we look to a replay. This is what happened there at turn 2. Aaron Martin Pilkington just a little bit too late on the brakes, and he's trying to avoid the cars in front there, I'm sure of it. He realised he was getting too close to Kieran, so had no option but to go to the inside. Lucky to avoid any serious contact with Lewis Dykes, and Dykes, I suppose, is lucky to hold on to P2, considering that it's not an easy braking zone at turn 1, and even the slightest of nudges can see your car spinning round and off into the barrier and picking up damage. Here's Danny de Swart in the Pennzoil NASCAR liveried CBSR Racing Camaro. He goes around the outside of Damien de Keyser into the chicane, come up towards the final corner. Side by side still, de Keyser trying to fight back, but in doing so runs wide, opens the door for the Audi there of Thomas van Schaik, who sneaks on through. They are side by side across the line, thundering down towards turn 1. Now, de Keyser will be picking up a slight slipstream, so I wonder if he would have been able to make the pass, as Martin Pilkington is looking for a way past Richardson, who managed to sneak through in that second lap incident. Oh, Martin Pilkington going for a gap that was slightly open. I don't think it quite had an Audi R8's width there, but he tried his best to stick his nose up the inside of Richardson into turn 3. Richardson defending now into the second sector, into turn 5, sorry. I think he would have been able to hold the spot as they head down the hill. Here's Damien de Keyser. It's a number of, look at this gaggle of cars fighting in the mid and rear end of the field. This is Patrick Tractor in the 313. He's in a Porsche Cayman sandwich at the moment, with Cayman filling that sandwich as well, the number 313 cars. Oh, there's contact in front. That's Verhoeven and I think Jordi Bakker getting into each other. No, it's Cooper, sorry, down at turn 7. Door banging between the Audi and Cayman. It's now Cooper on the inside into the Michael Schumacher S's. As they head up the hill, Jordi Bakker is looking to try and make a position in this situation, but unfortunately, by being held up slightly on the run up the hill, he's now under threat from Patrick Tractor into the left-hander. I think there might have been contact between the pair of them in the back of shot, because they've lost time. That's allowing Vargas into the mix as well, just ahead of the Wild Things Racing Genettas of Pixley and Pope. Ad Van Bogen, as Vargas runs wide and through the gravel. Didn't lose too much momentum on the climb up the hill in towards the chicane. Lucky not to lose the position to Pixley there. Through the left and the right, and towards the right-hander at the Coca-Cola curve. Through this final corner, these Caymans locked together, and those Genettas are doing everything they can to get in amongst the action. Obviously, that car is not quite the fastest in a straight line, but it's pretty handy around the technical sections owing to its weight. And I suppose it's philosophy in general, the Ginetta sports cars. As Vargas looks to the inside then of Jordi Bakker, who was trying to put a move on Patrick Tractor. Actually, Vargas running wide, and there's a hip check with Rich Pixie, who gets through, and Denise Pope smells blood here and sends one up the inside into turn 3. Gets the job done as well, so it goes from bad to worse for Vargas. He loses out on a few positions there. After crossing the start-finish line, he hasn't even exited Sector 1. Back to the front. If Will Dendy leads the way, 3 laps in the books. He's got 1.5 seconds nearly over Lewis Dykes. Then it's Vidago who rounds out the podium yet again. Just ahead of Aaron Martin Pilkington is this Cayman of Richardson, the number 24. Climbing up the order from P7 on the grid. He looks to have good pace as well. Pilkington is a rapid driver, but hasn't been able to make the move. Shows that these two might be an equal match. Saying that, Richardson runs slightly wide on the exit there. Oh, and Pilkington gets caught up behind him as that Porsche returned to the racing line. Aaron having to take some sort of evasive action as they run through, complete the second sector and up towards the technical final part of the track through the chicane and the final corner. Regan Mitchell in P10. He's currently behind Dmitry Schenk, who runs in P9. Mitchell has dropped back a couple of positions in this opening near 10 minutes of racing. Long race to go here at the Nürburgring. And not even under the usual standard race format of GT4 racing. Mitchell up the inside, deep as you like on the brakes, and considering he's got no ABS, he managed to pull that one off very cleanly indeed. Gets past Dmitry Schenken up to P9. That's one position gained on the two he's lost since the start of the race. Here's Nicolas Malot though in P12. A really strong start from the driver of the number 42 Porsche. He started down in 20th position, now finds himself knocking on the door of the top 10. So coming towards the left-hander at turn 5. Now, it does look like Adam Isalovic has dropped a long way down the order as well. So that's another driver that potentially caught some action. I wonder if my broadcast director Tom van der Meer will be able to find a replay of that, and we'll catch up with what happened there, as Mark Neutelings has dropped that in the chat to wonder where Adam Isalovic has ended up. I think it might be a disconnect. It doesn't look like there's any of Adam's information currently on the screen, and I can't see his number on the track map as well. So it might be that Adam Isalovic, who started from P10, is unfortunately disconnected from the server. I'm sure Adam will swing by to let us know if that was the case. Back to this battle though, outside the top 10, and just further down the order, Mark Cooper looks for a way past Gab Utley's BMW. As Mike Aprenhoser comments, action-packed GT4 racing. Yep, absolutely. This is what we've come to know and love from the GT4s on ACC, and we're getting another showing of it tonight here in the second round of the Simsport Racing International GT4 season. Back to the front of the race, it's Will Dendy leading the way, but that gap has closed down. Lewis Dykes has managed to reel in his teammate to some extent, as the two Mob 7 esports cars are doing their best to open a gap to Kieran Vidago. The gap is now below a second once again, so Dykes is showing some strong pace. He might be running a slightly different strategy. We don't know if the drivers are running the same fuel. We don't know if the teammates have agreed to run a fairly similar strategy and settle it out on track, or whether they've got two different approaches to the race. We're yet to have our first pit callers as we dip below the first 10 minutes of this 75-minute event this evening. But it's visible now that that gap has come down between Dykes and Dendy. Dendy, the race leader though, has been setting the pace, but Dykes has gone purple, set the fastest lap of the race now. So that number 19 McLaren looks to be the car to have at the moment. So difficult to be the driver out front, especially when you know there's a car catching, but Dendy isn't often phased by other drivers on track. He likes putting the hammer down, getting to business. As Aaron Martin Pilter's looking for a way past Richardson, run up over the hill and towards the left-hander at turn 10. And they come up towards the Vorsteiner curve. Martin Pilter having to just drop in behind the Cayman in front, locked in the slipstream as they head down the hill through Van Bergen and up towards the chicane. Martin Pilkington they look to be in a complete even match in a straight line. Neither car looks to have the advantage in a straight line. You would definitely say that Pilco's faster on the brakes. He looks like he closes up drastically into heavy braking zones on that Porsche Cayman. Sometimes getting a bit too close for comfort. We have seen him having to back out in order to avoid contact with the rear of Richardson. Look at that, even in the slipstream, Pilkington is really locked in position. Down towards turn 1, does he have a look to the inside? No, he follows in the wheel tracks of the number 24. Albeit the Cayman running slightly deep on apex. Pilkington looking for a way past as they round the Mercedes arena into turn 2. Trying to use a different line, trying to open that door and get on past Richardson, as the podium spots have really started to distance themselves from this duo. 3.6 seconds up the road is Kieran Vidago. Plenty of time to get this move done. We know Aaron Martin Pilkington doesn't like wasting time. You'd be surprised if Gilco looked for a move. He's tried to get the overlap there on the transition between turns 5 and 6. The Cayman of Richardson looks to have done just enough. Running down the hill then, looking to the inside. Can Pilkington get it done on the brakes? No. Richardson able to hold on to the position for now. These cars so evenly matched at the moment. Two drivers definitely giving it everything. Just as much effort that Pilkington's putting into pass. Richardson's matching that in his attempts to defend the spot, but running through the gravel slightly there on the run up through the Michael Schumacher S won't do any favours for the number 24. He has to defend heavily to the inside, and Aaron Martin Pilkington goes clean around the outside in the braking zone up into P4. I wonder whether Richardson bailed out of that one to some extent, conceded the spot. You sometimes get that feeling that the driver behind is just a bit quicker than you. Maybe is getting a bit too touchy, a bit too close for comfort. And with 1 hour of racing still to go, why not let them by? Let them see if they can drag you up to the podium spots as Martin Pilkington skips through the grass there. Wonder whether Richardson will be doing his best now to just stay in the wheel tracks of that number 113, and they'll close the gap together to Kieran Vidago. Thank you very much for dropping by, Adam Isalovic. Frustration kicked in. Unhappy with his car this evening. Sorry to hear that, but Adam opting to drop out of the race to avoid being involved in an incident. Sorry to hear that, Adam. We love having you out there on track, and we love seeing your battles, as I'm sure everyone does, and those racing enjoy and don't enjoy having you out on track as you're so quick. But hopefully we'll see you back out next time in the GT4s and feeling like you can compete in this stellar grid we do have, as they look to be one of the Ginettas running wide. Just saw out the corner of my eye. In the back of shot, there is one of the Ginettas just behind the Camaro of Danny de Swart. I wonder if one of Pixley or Pope has made a stop. Yeah, it looks like Pope may have made her mandatory stop just as the hour mark to go. Here it is, the number 79. Yes, look, it looks like she's having to get out of the way because she's gone a lap down. So wonder if that's just due to pit stop, or whether there was any sort of unfortunate incident in that as well. Stefan Arvidsson here in the number 39. He's battling away with Suke Vervat in the orange and white Camaro. So they head down the hill in towards turn 7. Plenty of battling through the order. It's not just about the podiums and top 10s. Look at this vicious fight down the order for bragging rights, if you like, in the AM category, and important points against their name in the fight for that championship. As they head up this hill through the Michael Schumacher S. Vervat looks to have the grunt in the straight line compared to the Porsche Cayman and the McLaren behind, but wonder whether Frank Hopp will be able to utilise the pace of the 570 that we've seen from our race leaders and find his way past the number 39 and 73 in front. This trio being chased by Cooper's number 48 Cayman as well. As they round out Van Bogen and up towards the chicane. Hopp looks to the inside of Arvidsson, tries to go as late as he dares on the brakes, but Arvidsson's going to brave it out around the outside. Both of them having a slightly difficult run through the chicane there, and that's just given Suke Vervat breathing room, as up the inside Cooper dives on an already knocked I think that was Vervat, sorry, and makes the pass. Made the pass on Frank Hopp there, as the McLaren driver had to bail out the move into the chicane. Yes, there it is. Look, Cooper passed Hopp and actually looked to the inside of Arvidsson on the run down towards turn 1. Can't get the move done. And Arvidsson has actually managed to reattach himself, if you like, to Suke Vervat. As here we go, Regan Mitchell's number 3 Maserati Gran Turismo looks to the inside of Dave Hedges on the run down the hill. Hedges cuts across the nose to defend into the braking zone. Malott there in P10 to pick up the places after starting from P20. So a massive 20 positions gained by the driver of the number 42 Porsche. He currently leads the AM division inside the top 10 overall. A stellar race from him so far. As Hedges has to defend once again. He does leave the lane, but then cuts across it. And I think Mitchell got caught out by that one. Looks to try and get the switch back on the run through turns 10 and into the Vorsteiner curve. Mitchell trying to optimise that exit run, and obviously he's got no traction control to help him put the power down. That's one way of looking at it. You could say he's got no traction control to inhibit him putting the power down as they run up towards the chicane. Hedges not having to defend this time. He's happy with the advantage he's got over Regan Mitchell into the braking zone. So go through the left and right and to the final corner at the Coca-Cola curve. Nicholas Malott heads to pit lane. So the driver of the 42, after climbing from P20 to P10, is one of our first notable pit stoppers. He heads down pit road for his mandatory stop inside 20 minutes of racing here at the Nürburgring. As this battle continues, Mitchell really wants to find a way past Hedges as they weave from left to right between turns 1 and 2. Doing his absolute best to make the move. Hedges doing his absolute best to make sure that that move is unsuccessful. As we see side by side through the long left-hander at turn 2, Pixley on the outside of the Audi Verhoeven. There's nearly contact there, pinch point at turn 3. Pixley able to just continue on around the outside and hold on to the position there. From the number 86 and gained the spot. Fantastic racing from the drivers inside the top 20. It's Geordie Backer looking for a way past Patrick Tractor on the run through turns 5 and 6 as they head out into the second sector and then the plunge down the hill towards the banked hairpin. So we'll just see whether Malott has emerged in any relevance to this battle. It looks like the number 42 is back out on track, albeit a long way behind. He's actually just exiting the first sector. Here he is, the red and black Cayman. It gives you a good idea of just how much time drivers will be losing in the pit stop phase. He was close to the likes of Mitchell and Hedges on the run up to his pit stop. Now, if I told you that Malott was running round, just heading down through turn 6, here is your race leaders, and Dave Hedges and Regan Mitchell about to cross start-finish line. He's lost 2/3 of the lap, if you like. So we'll have to keep that in mind as we see the rest of these mandatory stops play out during the race. 20 minutes gone, just over that, in fact, 53 and a half minutes to go here at the Nürburgring. It's Will Dendy that leads the way. He's just managed to pull a couple of tenths over Dykes once again. That lead gap is ebbing and flowing between the two Mob 7 esports cars. Regan Mitchell again looks to the outside of Dave Hedges through the Mercedes arena, and all this fighting has brought Patrick Vance 777 Pulse Motorsport Cayman into the mix as well. And I think the Cayman has brought Dmitry Schenk along for the party as well. So it's 4 drivers now battling out for this P8 in the order as they run down towards turns 5 and 6. It's been a great start from Patrick Vance. Started in 11th place, running in P10 and looking like there's positions to be gained as well. So run down towards turn 7. Hedges running slightly wide, Mitchell running wide as well, and that's a perfect demonstration of what I mentioned earlier, that V'ing off of the corner. Now, it's a good strategy, particularly on a qualifying lap, to try and really enhance your exit, or if you're Regan Mitchell and trying to weigh up a move on Dave Hedges up towards turn 10. As Hedges has to go in deep, and he's gone in too deep, slides wide in the McLaren. He rejoins the track on the inside, but Mitchell's going to do his best to go the long way around. And what a move from the number 3, Regan Mitchell, goes all the way around the outside of Dave Hedges for P8. Hedges able to slot back in the train in front of Patrick Vance and doesn't lose another position. They come up towards the chicane. Does he fight back? No, actually he has to block the pass from Patrick Vance as they, all 3 of them there, jump over that inside curb on the right-hander. Just back to my point about Ving off turn 7, it's great on a qualifying lap, or maybe when you're trying to set up a pass at the top of the hill, but it does leave the door open. We so nearly saw Patrick Vance trying to get this car alongside Regan Mitchell. That would have been a completely different story if that had happened, because Mitchell makes a spin on the exit of turn 1, a half spin, trying to apply the power, gets the rear all kinds of crossed up. And all that hard work into passing Dave Hedges has unfortunately been screwed up and thrown in the bin. Mitchell drops back behind the number 88 McLaren, and he's got to do it all over again. As you see, Danny DeSwart heads to pit lane in the Camaro, another driver pitting from inside the top 15. But what a battle this is. These 4 drivers locked together on the road, 4 different chassis as well, which is what we absolutely do love to see in GT4 racing. It's something we've become so akin to in this modern era of grand touring machinery. McLaren, Maserati, Porsche and Audi all together on the road. And look, this time Vance is able to get the nose up the inside of Mitchell through turn 7. They're going to be side by side up the hill into the Michael Schumacher-S. Does Vance dare try and hold it around the outside? He does, but that's going to cost him momentum, because now Schenk is looking for a lane, and they are side by side up in towards turn 10. Schenk to the inside. Can he get it done on the brakes? They're still door to door as Vance tries to carry the momentum the long way around, which will set himself up for the inside into the Vorsteiner curve. And he gets the job done for now, but Schenk is fighting back. Optimised exit in the number 8 Stubbenauer Racing Audi. And as they run through Ad Van Bogen, Vance almost closes Schenk up onto that inside curve. And up towards the chicane, the 777 stays in front of the 8, but only just. And I wonder if Schenk is going to hit pit lane. It looked like the Audi driver had slowed up considerably. Yes, Dimitri Schenk comes to pit road for his mandatory stop with 49 minutes remaining. The number 8 Audi pitting from P11 in the order. We'll have to keep an eye on where he rejoins, as Rich Pixley is rejoining the track after a spin at the chicane there. Wonder if there was a coming together with another car. He looked close in the fight with Gav Utley, I believe. Unfortunately, Pixley dropping back now in that number 8. He's now behind Evan Daffas, but just in front of Stefan Arvidsson. A number of pit stops taking place. Here is Zander Vale then, on the run down the hill towards turn 5 and 6. He's closed up to Richardson. These 2 Caymans have really been showing their pace in this opening section of the race. Great performance from Richardson to climb the order and hold off Aaron Martin Pilkington, but you get a feeling that's just what Pilkington had to display, and he knew he needed to get the hurry on and get past Richardson, because he's now opened a near 8-second gap over the last 10 minutes to the driver of the number 24. Thomas van Schaik in the number 299, the 610 Motorsport Audi. He's trying to latch on to the rear of Bas van Mellis in what is the fight for the net race lead in the AM class, albeit with erstwhile race leader Nicholas Malott having visited pit lane as they run up towards turn 10. Here is Dimitri Schenk then. He rejoins the track. So here he is in the opening sector of the race, of the circuit, sorry, and he was battling away just inside the top 10. You can see how far he has fallen as the drivers he was fighting with head into the chicane, the penultimate corner on the track. Again, 2/3 of the racetrack given up in the pit stop. So a crucial move there for Schenk to try and get in early and potentially get out of the drama. He has rejoined behind Nicholas Malott. And actually, it looks like he's rejoined behind Danny DeSwart in the Camaro as well. So potentially an early stop from DeSwart has seen him leap up the standings. He's only a couple of seconds up the road. I'm sure there's plenty of strategy calls still to be made, and plenty of this race to be utilised in those pit calls. Down the hill then, the sun it looks to have truly set over the horizon here. It's 25 to 8 local time in the Eiffel Mountain. Lovely weather at the moment. We have been blessed with this. It's not usually the case that you have a complete dry spell at the Nürburgring. It looks like the weather forecast is set to remain dry. I'm sure all the drivers will be pleased to see that. Good evening to Dave Jr., who's joined in the YouTube chat. Hello, welcome along. Hope you're enjoying the GT4 action so far. Hello to everyone else who's still watching on. Do let me know your thoughts on the racing action, anything you've spotted. Any questions you might have for me, I'll do my best to answer them as the race continues on with 46 minutes and change to go. Rich Pixie then, P20, and looking to claw his way back after that error or incident at the chicane not too long ago. He's looking for a way past Evan Dafas on the run down the hill towards turn 7 at the bottom of the hill. A banked hairpin corner. A lot quicker than it looks from the outside. He's got a run around the outside of Dafas up into the Schumacher SES, and he goes a long way round in the Ginetta. A fantastic move, and in fact that opens the door for Arvidsson behind, who looks for a move. They're nearly 3 wide up in towards turn 10. They are, and up the inside goes Cooper. 2 positions in 1 there for the driver of the black and yellow rimmed Porsche Cayman. To number 48, a really optimistic move, but what a drive from Cooper to get up the inside and be the last of the late breakers. Stellar stuff there from Cooper. I'd love to get an onboard view from the driver of the 48 and what he saw as he came into the braking zone there. I'm sure he just saw a lane open and thought, this is it, I've got to go for it, and he has done. Trying his best to hang on to Rich Pixley. See if these two can drop the battle behind. Here is a replay, and this is on board Cooper. Look, you can see the battle kicking off in front, and look, he just moves to the inside. It's almost as if the other drivers haven't noticed him. Last on the late breakers, as I say, up the inside, number 48 gets par. It just looked like Dafas was so keen on covering off Arvidsson on the run up towards turn 10 that actually he was all completely unaware of Cooper closing and making the move to the inside. As further down the order, up the inside of the Camaro, this is Nicholas Malott looking for a way past Vestenberg. Gets the job done on the brakes into the hairpin. A really strong opening half hour from Nicholas Malott, albeit with the pit stop dropping him down the order, but ahead of the likes of Schenk and de Swart. It's going to be interesting to see where he emerges. Now, Lewis Dykes heads to pit lane, 43 minutes and so on the clock. This is a really interesting move from Dykes. He's not chosen to split the race exactly in 2, instead pitting early, half an hour into this race. Let's see how this one pans out as Dykes comes down pit road and stops in his box. Will Dendy continues on. Get a good idea of what the strategy is as well, as Dykes is stopped in his box. Let's see if he takes tyres and fuel. Unfortunately, I don't have timing to be able to tell you whether he has or not, but we'll see if we can judge it from the movement of the car. It looks like it's fuel at the moment. As into the left-hander, Dendy into the second sector of the lap. Really going to be interesting to see whether Dendy opts to follow his teammate in and mirror him as soon as he can and try and cover off this undercut potentially from Lewis Dykes, who pitted with around 44 minutes to go. Now, crucially for Dykes, he doesn't want to emerge into traffic. Unfortunately for Dykes, it looks like he's going to be doing just that. He manages to come out of pit lane and slot in between that fight we were watching earlier, which involved Evan Dafas and Martin Cooper. He's unfortunately found himself inside a train of 4 cars there. But he's going to have to get the moves done, keep that pace up, otherwise Dendy's just going to be claiming free time in clear air up ahead. Dykes isn't wasting any time. Exit of the Mercedes arena. Goes to the outside of Cooper, who just opts not to fight it. A very different race being run between those two drivers. Very heads-up thinking from Cooper. Allow Dykes through and allow the driver who is running in contention for the podium to just continue on their way and not get caught up in any sort of silly drama. Dykes at the bottom of the hill now as Dendy crosses the start-finish line, doesn't pit. So we get a rough idea of where the two drivers are on track as Dykes heads up the hill through the Michael Schumacher S. Dave Jr. saying he thinks Lewis Dykes' tyres. I agree with that, owing to the amount of time he was stopped. Looks like other drivers have done the same as well. Patrick Van St all over the back of Regan Mitchell, who has been dropped from the rear of Dave Hedges. So after making the pass, then making the mistake into turn one, he's now unfortunately tumbled down the order. I say tumbled down the order, he's stumbled back from Dave Hedges as Richards is in pit lane in the number 4 Ginetta as well from inside the top 10. Richards, another one of the drivers opting to take about 30-35 minutes out of this race and then head into pit lane before his mandatory stop, and it'll be a good idea to see where he comes out in comparison to Lewis Dykes. That will give us a good impression of where the two drivers are in their respective races and whether that early stop is going to play out. Dykes just able to go a lap or so longer. Richards going a lap or so longer. We'll see whether Dykes getting caught up in that traffic might have cost him any sort of time. As we see, this is Mitchell defending from Van St into turn one, and he's just run wide again. We saw that. It's almost a mirror image in terms of the position lost to Dave Hedges. Running in deep on the brakes and just allowing his rival through. Dendy rattles through the chicane, doesn't come to pit lane, so he's continuing on. It's been another 2 or 3 laps since Dykes made his pit stop, as Geordie Backer looks to have pitted as well. Now look at this. This is Dykes, and I believe he is just in front of Rich Pixley. And Matt Richards is a few more seconds further down the road. Yeah, indeed, actually, he's just exited the Mercedes arena. So it looks like Dykes hasn't lost too much time with this early stop just yet. But he'll have to take care of his rubber, and later on in the race, he might find himself coming up against a very quick Dendy. Dave Jr. echoing my thoughts. It's going to be tricky to pull off, he says. Needs to go quick and take care of the rubber. Easier said than done, isn't it? As Regan Mitchell comes to pit road under the 40-minute mark. Now in the number 3 Maserati. As a number of drivers are actually pitting as well. Gav Utley there in the number 14 BMW as well, pitting from inside the top 15 spots in the running order. Seems to be a popular time. So, well, really just split the race in two, run halfway and then run another stint again. Easier said than done. Bas van Mellis now up inside the top 10. The number 11 Porsche running 8th place but leading the AM category ahead of Thomas van Schaik in the 299 Audi. These two drivers still yet to pit. I'm sure we'll see Nicholas Malott continue his climb up the order, who was leading this category. He was stopped very early, nearly 20 minutes ago since we saw the number 42 car come to pit road. Here he is Nicholas Malott, down in 21st position at the moment. He's got 3.1 seconds to find to Jan-Paul Eikelenboom, but it looks like, judging by where the other cars are on track, he should return to the lead of the AM class once the stops have panned out. And he should be inside the top 10. It's been a really strong opening half of this race at the Nürburgring for Nicholas Malott, as Thomas van Schaik is really looking to try and get a hustle on Bas van Mellis and make that move. So we've just gone past the halfway mark, so let's give you a run through the order there, with half the race completed here at the Nürburgring in the second round of the GT4 action at the Nürburgring. Will Dendy leads the way, 18 laps completed. He's got a sizable lead over Kieran Vidago, who's being chased and closed in on by Aaron Martin Pilkington. They round the podium, but the top 3 still yet to head to pit lane. Pilkington was released after making a pass on Richardson, the fast-starting Cayman. He managed to jump up the order from P7, but once Pilko got through, he looks to have really set the pace and is closing up on the driver in P2. Then it's Zander Vale, who's just come to pit road in the number 808 Porsche Cayman. He's going to drop from outside the top 5, potentially into the clutches of traffic further down the order. Then it's Dave Hedges in P6 from Patrick Vanst, who's close behind in the Pulse Motorsport Cayman. Then it's Bas van Melis in P8. He currently leads the way in our AM category, albeit by the matter of tenths over the yellow and black Audi R8 of Thomas van Schaik, the 299 car, chasing his rival in the fight for division victory. Then it's Damien de Keyser in the second of the Pulse cars, rounding out your top 10. Patrick Tractor in P11 rounds out, he's actually in pit lane ahead of Verhoeven. Then it's Lewis Dykes, who's running around in P13, but I'm sure that's about to change as the pit stops continue to take place. In fact, it looks like he's made his way past Verhoeven and gained another position as he looks to climb up the order after pitting earlier than his main rival and teammate Will Dendy. Then it's Vargas and Evan Daffas rounding out your top 15 positions, with Arvidsson Pixley, who's in pit lane, with Vervat Lermans and Jan-Paul Eikelenboom completing your top 20 positions. Driver of note, Nicholas Malott in P21, having stopped with 55 minutes still to go. The black and red Cayman is ahead now of Jan-Paul Eikelenboom, but I believe as well ahead of Matt Richards, as Will Dendy comes to pit lane. The number 28 McLaren is on pit road with just over 35 minutes to go in this race at the Nürburgring. We'll keep our eyes on Lewis Dykes. Here he is coming into the final sector of the lap, rounding the Vorsteiner curve. Will Dendy is stopped in pit lane. He'll know his teammate is making his stop, and he'll know that now is the chance for him to claim that race lead. Up into the chicane, Dendy yet to get rolling. Just as I say that, he starts moving away from his pit position. Dykes into the final curve as it looks like Dendy is close to releasing the pit limiter. And as Dykes runs out of the final corner, Dendy is able to get back up to racing speed. They'll be close as they head into turn 1. Dykes won't be close enough to gain the position on his teammate. Now, with tyres that are slightly older, it's going to be an uphill battle for Dykes if he wants to take victory here this evening. Sure, we won't see Dykes relent or stop trying in this final 34 minutes of racing here, as that hands the baton to Kieran Vidago, who takes up the lead, albeit with Pilkington closing in on him 2.7 seconds. Now, this is another tricky part of the race that will have to the leaders, and indeed those inside the top 10 positions or so, will be faced with dealing with traffic. Drivers that have stopped, drivers that haven't. You'll find yourself with other cars regardless of how your race is going and what positions you're running in. It's all about navigating that traffic and losing as little time as possible, as Thomas van Schaik comes to pit lane as well, leaving Bas van Melis to climb inside the top 5. And here is that Porsche, the Mode 11 racing cars. Oh, that looked like potentially Damien de Keyser running wide there, or maybe it was Patrick Vanst. Yeah, it was Damien de Keyser from P6. He's run wide there at the top of the hill. Lost a lot of time in his fight for the top 10 or top 15 positions. As they come up towards the chicane, the number 77. Yet to pit, so I wonder whether he'll just come down pit lane now. No, he stays out, as it looked like a couple of cars in pit road. Yes, Dave Hedges has come to pit road in the number 88 SSRI McLaren. He's followed by Patrick Vanst, as well as Bas van Melis, and I believe already stopped in his pit box is Aaron Martin Pilkington. So a whole host of drivers making their stops with 32 and a quarter minutes to go, as another car heads out of pit lane. As this pit stop window in the middle of the race looks to be the popular strategy at the moment. So Vidago's left out there on his own to continue lapping. This is Aaron Martin Pilkington's attempt to undercut the number 71 car. Pilkington exits pit lane, heads back out onto the track, and I believe he's a lot closer to... I was going to say, I think he's a lot closer to Dendy and Dykes, but I actually don't think he's any closer than he was before the pit stops. It looks like things have levelled out, but he is on fresh tyres, potentially able to close up that gap now to Dykes, as Patrick Vance unfortunately picks up a stop-go 30. We can only assume that's for speeding in pit lane. Bas van Mellis, number 11 Porsche, returns to the track. As he comes down towards turn 1, he actually looks to have extended that lead over Thomas van Schaik in the fight for honours in the AM category. Number 11 is looking in fine fettle once again, as our race leader, Kieran Vidago, comes to pit road as well with just under 31 minutes to go. The number 71 trundles down pit lane to make his mandatory stop. Only a few drivers are yet to visit pit lane for the one and only time they have to during the race. As Vidago hops over the bumps on pit road and into his box to stop. Mark Neusling's raising an important question. Wonder if Dendy took tyres. It looked like the stops were fairly equal length between the two Mob 7 Esports cars, so I wouldn't be surprised if Dendy did. As De Kaiser comes down pit road, he'll relinquish P2. As out of the final corner, it looks like Dendy is going to reclaim the lead as Vidago's still in pit lane. And Dykes is going to come on through as well as we near the final half an hour of this race. Where will Vidago resume though? And how close will he be to Aaron Martin Pilkington? I think the Aaron Martin Pilkington car is closed up, but looks to be in a bit of traffic as well. Look at all these cars coming thundering on by in towards turn 1. It's a lapped car there. That's the number 80, I believe, of Rich Pixley. There's Jampel Eikelenboom as well. Those two cars are in their own battle. As Vidago gets through with the assistance of the blue flags, just managed to keep ahead of this traffic, which I wonder if that's hampered the charge of Martin Pilkington, who's a few positions further down the road on track. Vargas Porsche, Evan Daffas as well as Stefan Arvidsson are in between Dykes and Pilkington. Vidago and Pilkington. As here is Patrick Vance. He comes to pit road to serve that stop-go 30. Gutting for the driver of the 777. He looks to have been having a very strong race event here at the Nürburgring. Started P11, was running inside that top 10. So here is the number 28, Will Dendy, leading the way, 3.1 seconds over teammate Lewis Dykes in the number 19. A long way to go in this race. Yes, the pit stops have been and gone. Yes, we're into the second half of the event. 30 minutes is a lot of time for things to go wrong. A lot of time to make a mistake. Plenty of traffic still to be negotiated. There's a beautiful shot there from the rear wing. Looking back from Will Dendy's car, the sun has set over the horizon in the Eifel Mountains. As Dendy continues on his way. Really looking to make amends from the race at Kyalami, where he picked up a penalty off the start. Was forced to fight his way back through the order. As Bas van Mellis is still ahead of Thomas van Schaik, and through the pit stop phase has kept that lead in the AM category. The net lead, if you like. Well, saying that, Malott has continued on his climb up the field, now running inside the top 10. So number 42 has continued his strong event this evening. Here he is, Nicolas Malott, inside the top 10 with 3 cars still to pit ahead of him. As we see Suke Vervac comes to pit lane. Look at Malott, he's having a really strong race. At the start of this event I was saying he needs a strong performance. He was so strong in the SRI GT4, but he looks to be back to his best this evening. As Zandvoort is looking for a way past Dave Hedges. 88 leads 808 in the fight for P14. And it's number 8 as well behind Dimitri Schenk, running in P16 and looking to close up as these two go to war. Hedges having to cut across the nose of Vale into the left-hander at turn 2. Vale looks to the inside into turn 3 of the Mercedes Arena. If anything, just to distract Hedges in front and try and force an error. On the exit, it is the status quo as they run towards turn 5 and 6. But Vale is looking quick and looking like he wants to get a move done on Hedges. Again, looking to the inside, sacrificing his own speed to try and force Hedges offline. Don't want to do that too many times though. You'll find yourself just dropping lap time and unable to keep up with the car in front. And also that trick really can wear thin. It can get old on the car in front, and they can know that you're not going for a move. It's almost a boy who cries wolf situation. As Hedges is looking to close up to Danny de Swart's number 57 Camaro. De Swart has had a really strong race so far. Started 19th, now is running inside. He's running P12, 3 cars to pit in front, so we can assume that he's running in the top 9 positions net once the stops have taken place. Vargas now comes to pit lanes. That's another position that this battle pack will gain. With 25.5 minutes to go. Aaron Martin Pilkington definitely lost time out in the pit stop cycle, didn't he? 3 seconds behind Vidago before the stops. Now he's 6.3 back. Here he is, the Simsport Racing X113 Audi R8, getting a wiggle on through the left-hander at turn 3. You can just sense how hard he's trying. Aaron Martin Pilkington, he never gives up. Even when all is said and done, there's still... Pilco still sees an opportunity to gain a spot or to set a quicker lap. And as I said before, this race is far from over as we dip inside the final 25 minutes. Evan Dafas here, running in P5, but is still yet to make his stop. So he's out of position, if you like, on track. You could say that once he pits, he should come out around the 570 of Frank Hopp. So he might be able to make his way into the top 20 if this stop is short. Obviously, he'll have to take less fuel than his competitors owing to a later pit stop. Now here is Dave Hedges, closing up on the back of Danny de Swart's at number 20. Number 22. I knew that would happen at some point this season because that Joey Logano Pennzoil livery, I believe it's Logano, is number 22 in the real world. He's not in this, despite having 22 on the roof of his Chevrolet Camaro. Danny de Swart's number 57. 57 leads 88 in this fight for P11 as Santa Vale all over the road trying to get past Hedges. And that just allows de Swart a little more breathing room as the two exchange moves behind. I'm pretty sure it's Joey Logano livery, but I'm sure someone will correct me on that if I'm wrong. Look at the run Dave Hedges has got through Ad Van Bogen. Up the hill towards the chicane. He's on the outside. They nearly exchanged paint in the braking zone, but managed to just steer clear of each other as they come up into the final corner. Yellow flags out. There's a car off at turn 3 or 4, I believe, or potentially on the other side of the track. There it is, Patrick Tractor. I think he's run on at turn 10 and has just stopped. I wonder if there's a technical issue there for the driver of the 313 as he comes back to pit lane. What a shame to see him dropping out as Dave Hedges, a sturdy look to the inside of Danny de Swart. He didn't blink once there in that braking zone, I'm sure of it, looking for a way past the 57 into the tight hairpin. He's trying to attack, but he's also got to try and defend as well because Sander Vale is still eagerly looking for a way past. As this trio run out of the first sector and down towards turn 5 and 6. Hedges just looks visibly faster in the braking zones as well. That McLaren, we know how quick it is. The top 3 cars on the track are McLaren, so pace to be found for Hedges if you were to be critical, but he looks to be finding that in this second part of the race. In his attempts to get past de Swart, as they run through turn 7 and climb the hill. The Camaro in front is punching a massive hole in the air as well, so the slipstream's going to be strong, especially from a car that's pretty handy in a straight line. Now, albeit these cars are very equally matched, and yes, BOP, this balance of performance, that the way it does swing in the real world often seems to be mirrored in the virtual world as well. So some cars will be stronger following some updates and then be nerfed and pushed back, as we see Pixie trying to make his way past the Porsche in front as they head down. Oh, Pixley going deep on the brakes, gets past Pierce into turn 1, holds onto the spotters. Wow, Dave Hedges emerges into our camera shot ahead of Danny de Swart, albeit nearly 4 wheels up on the curb. Wonder if he's managed to just sneak by there into the chicane and close off any sort of retaliation from de Swart. Great move from Dave Hedges. He's now up into, which I think will be P10, because Stefan Arberton has finally visited pit lane. Hedges now released. He'll want to try and develop a gap back to Zander Vale, who is got to do the same job as Hedges has. It's now up to Zander to get past Danny and try and cling on to Hedges. Hedges wants to do the exact opposite. He needs to put the power down. He needs to get on with it a little bit into this final 20 minutes of racing and try and leave the pack behind as he heads into turns 5 and 6. Such a wonderful track here at the Nürburgring. So much character and so much enjoyment, so much racing potential. As here they are, side by side up the hill to the chicane. Is he going to go the long way round? No, he just tries to cut back. As whoa, over the curb and gravel and bump there goes Danny de Swart. And Danny clearly trying to brake as late as he can possibly dare. And the Hedge is just able to keep clean and pick up the position. Now running in P10, and look at that, he has already opened a couple of car lengths to the battle behind as Vale looks to the outside into turn 10. De Swart comes across and tries to close the door, but Vale goes in deep, and too deep indeed, runs 4 wheels off the track. Dimitri Schenk now looks to the outside of the number 808. Can't get the move done there, might try and get the exit and close up in the slipstream. Shows how quickly you have to go from attack to defence, owing to how close the order is here in this GT4 racing. Under 20 minutes to go, up towards the chicane. Vale sending it in deep on the brakes, costing himself momentum over that second part as Nicolas Malott comes to pit lane. Oh dear, the driver of the 42 looked to be a shoo-in for the race victory in the AM class has come down pit road. No penalty to his name. I wonder what's happening there then. Maybe a mistake in the pit stops. Maybe he didn't put enough fuel on board as Zander Vale looks again to the outside of Danny de Swart, but runs on deep. Schenk now side by side as they're going towards turn 2. Vale able to just close off the line, but on the exit, Schenk's going to have the speed on the run down towards turn 3. And all this fighting has just enabled another couple of car lengths for Danny de Swart, and in turn allowed Dave Hedges to open up a near 2-second advantage over the pack he was once part of. Shame to see Malott pit. That's very strange. I wonder if there was a mistake during his pit stop. Only one stop needed in this race. Very costly if you have to come down pit road for any other time in any other event. As Will Dendy here in the number 28 leads the way. Dykes has definitely put the hammer down and is doing his best to close up. The 2 Mob 7 esports cars cross the line, albeit less than 2 seconds between them, on the run down towards turn 1. So with Malott pitting for a second time, looks like the AM category lead is going to go the way of Bas van Mellis, who is closing up on this de Swart Vale Schenk fight. They're still going hard at it. The Schenk tries to get away past on the exit of the Borsteiner curve and on the run through Ad Van Bogen. Here he is in the number 8 Audi R8, tucked into the slipstream of Vale and just allowing Zander to run it in deep through the chicane. Just doesn't look like Schenk has the confidence through that part of the track, but everywhere else he seems to really close up towards the rear of that Envision liveried Porsche Cayman. Yeah, Dykes has definitely managed to overturn some time there in the fight for the race lead. As Schenk now has to think about Bas van Mellers behind. Now Bas is a very heads-up driver, we know this. He is, of course, reigning champion in this category as far as the former SRI community is concerned. So in terms of getting the job done in GT4 machinery in the AM category, wouldn't look any further than Bas van Mellers. But Bas is sniffs an opportunity here for potentially a top 10 overall, as well as victory in class. Be surprised to see him doing his best to maybe incite some drama up ahead, show his nose here or there. Fantastic performance from Bas so far, who started in P12, he's running P13, but we are of course still waiting for Evan Daffas to make his pit stop inside the final 20 minutes. Here is Richardson, who's on the back of Daffas. Now, Richardson's had a strong race, actually, as the number 24, but has never really shown the pace to challenge for that top 4 spot. He was in front of Martin Pilkington as he makes the pass on the run through Ad van Bogen on Evan Daffas, gets through on the run up to the chicane. He was in front of Martin Pilkington and he did make a really strong start. Oh, Daffas goes in deep there and just makes contact, slams into the side of Richardson. Oh dear, oh dear. It's not good to see an incident like that. And Evan Daffas. Now, I'd like to be devil's advocate here and think that potentially Daffas was setting up his pit stop and that's why he made an error there into the brake zone. But unfortunately, wasn't the best of accidents to look at there as Daffas ran into the side of Richardson into the chicane. Hopefully, Richardson hasn't got too much damage and can continue on his way. 24.6 seconds down on Martin Pilkington. It shows you how quick Pilko has been, as De Swart defending the inside from Vale. Vale trying to go the long way around but couldn't get it done once again as they run through turn 2 and down towards turn 3. Into the final 15 minutes of racing here at the Nürburgring. This is the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championships, the second round of the season, as Dimitri Schenk has been passed by Bas van Mellers. I thought Bas might want to continue on and climb a few more spots, and he's done just that. Not only will he pick up a position for the pitting Daffas, he's now passed the Stubborn Owl Racing number 8. Running in P11 now, in the Mode 11 Racing number 11 Porsche Cayman. So it's all 11s for Bas van Mellers. I'm sure that might bring a smile to his face. I'm sure he would like to be in P10 just to really solidify his performance. I'm trying to work out this livery on the Porsche Cayman. I believe it's a copy of the Porsche LMDH or GTP new machine. If you're a fan of endurance racing in the real world, you would have seen that car revealed, albeit in testing form, with a livery very similar to that. I'll have to ask Baz if he drops in for an interview post-race. Here is the fight for the lead though. Will Dendy, and look at that gap now. That gap has really come down. It was nearly 3 seconds after the pit stops. Now it's down to 0.8 of a second. Whether Dendy didn't take tyres, or whether he's just been having to force his way through traffic, or whether Lewis Dykes has quite simply had the pace to reel in his teammate. Look at the gap. It's no point giving it a numerical value anymore. Dykes is there, and Dykes is ready to fight for this race lead inside the final 12.5 minutes here from the Nürburgring. Been absolutely flying. His last lap of 2:05.0. That would have been good enough for a position inside the top 10 in qualifying, if not just inside the top 7. Just shows you the pace that this number 19 McLaren has got. 0.5 of a second now is the gap. He's well inside slipstream range, and he's well inside that mental space of Will Dendy now. Dendy knows that Dykes is there, knows that the number 19 has the momentum, and the pendulum is swinging his way as we near the checkered flag. How is Dykes going to get past her? He needs to make sure he does it cleanly. And I don't think Dendy's going to want to let his teammate by too easily. He wants to make amends for that first race at Kyalami. He wants to pick up maximum points and try and claw back some of that disadvantage in the championship as they come across the line. Dykes going even faster, a 2:04.6 on that last lap. He is absolutely flying as he looks to the inside of Will Dendy down into turn 1. A 2:04.6 would have put him on the 3rd row of the grid in qualifying. Absolutely flying in this number 19, all over the back of his teammate. Lights ablaze as they head up towards turn 3. 8:15 local time. Track's going to just start getting that little bit darker, ambient lighting starting to drop, as well as track temperature down to 10 degrees from the 15 or so we had at race start. Dendy, his only task that he can complete now is to keep his eyes forward. That's the only way he can try and stop Lewis Dykes from getting on through. Keep focused on your line, keep focused on your race. Keep focused on nailing those apexes, your braking zones, your acceleration points. Keep the car stable. Just, as difficult as it is, and as maybe as silly as it might sound, lap as if he's not there. You've been leading the race up to this point for a reason. Why not try and continue it on? Dykes is really close now, definitely benefiting from the slipstream up and over the crest of the Michael Schumacher S's. And in towards turn 10. Dendy's got traffic as well. That's an Aston Martin in front of him as they come through the left-hander into the Vorsteiner curve. But props to the driver there. The driver a lap down for getting out of the way as soon as he possibly could, making sure he didn't get involved in the action. But look at the run Dykes has got on the run up to the chicane. He's looking to the inside. Does he try and send one in on the brakes? No, he opts to just stay in the wheel tracks of Dendy as they barrel through the chicane and into the Coca-Cola curve. Under 10 minutes to go here. Dykes looks to the outside. He's nearly alongside his rival and teammate as they come up to start lap 32. Across the line, still in the slipstream range. Dendy just weaving slightly to try and break that toe as they run down towards turn 1. Dykes doesn't seem to have any clear advantage. Just not any part of the track he seems to be majorly faster. He just seems to be a little bit quicker everywhere, and that's what's adding up in this fight for the race lead. As he looks to the inside down towards turn 3 as they come up over the crest and into this final part of the Mercedes arena. Place your bets now in the YouTube chat. Do we think that Dykes is going to get through? And do we think Dendy's going to hold on for the race lead? As they come down into the left-hander at turn 5. And into turn 6. Dykes is close. He's very close indeed. Tucked into the slipstream. Will he be able to look to the inside? Dendy's been able to just defend by holding on to his racing line. Down into turn 7. He runs slightly wide. There is gap there. Dykes looks to the inside. Can't quite get it done. Showing his nose though and making Dendy aware that he wants to get by. Intentions clear. So they run up through the Michael Schumacher S and towards turn 10 again. And that attempt has maybe just knocked him back a car length or so, but I'm sure he'll close that all up under the brakes as Dendy's just a little bit wider of the apex than he would have liked to be. In towards the right hand at the Vorsteiner curve. And on the exit, power planted down the hill through Ad Van Bergen. Look how close Dykes is. They're weaving from right to left. Dendy trying to break that slipstream, trying to stop any sort of advantage for Dykes. As they come up towards the chicane, Dendy able to hold it on the brakes, clipping across the curb, 2 wheels in the air. As they thunder through the chicane and towards the final corner. Look at Dykes now. He's so much closer than he has been this entire race. He seems so much quicker in this final portion of the event as well. Dendy again making a move to break the toe. Everything he can to stop Dykes from getting an advantage on the straight parts of the circuit. Dykes looks to the outside, late on the brakes. Dendy defends the inside line. Wonder if Dykes was just running in a little bit too deep there. Maybe not looking quite for the move, was rather just to optimise his braking zone, and a little mistake and he had to bail out of it and go to that outside line. He's managed to reverse the deficit already through turns 2 and 3 and 4. Traffic up ahead at one of the Pulse Motorsports car. That's the 777. That'll be Patrick Vance up ahead, who served a stop-go 30 earlier on in the race after making his mandatory stop. That's why he's far down the order. Aerial cam doing wonders and showing us how the two drivers close together in the braking zones, and then that gap just extends. Dendy continues on the racing line, but Dykes pulled over to the right hand side and flashed the lights at his teammate. They nearly come together on the exit of turn 7 as Dendy runs in deep again, trying to straighten up the exit. Dykes looked to the inside to show the nose of his number 19 McLaren, up the hill through the left and right, and over the crest and in towards the left and right again of turns 10 and 11. He's just dropped back a couple of car lengths, as Dykes. That seems to happen every time he ends up on the outside, or maybe in a position where a move isn't quite on. He loses that momentum, and Dendy's able to breathe a sigh of relief and continue on. Here's Malott looking for a way past Dennis Verkman in the fight for P22, and the fight for what is P7 and 8, I believe, in the AM category as well. Malott looked set for victory in class. A second pit stop, dropping him down the order. And they're only a few hundred metres ahead of our race leaders as well, so they need to be careful whilst battling to not get involved in the fight for the race lead. There is Patrick Vance getting out the way, and there you can see the train in front of Dennis Verkman and Nicholas Malott. Dendy rounds turn 1, Dykes closed in behind. Ride on board with the number 28, looking back at his rival. You can see the dirt build up on these cars. That's beautiful seeing dirty racing cars, but which one of them is going to be leading the race come the checkered flag? Dendy is doing everything he can to hold on to this lead. But Dykes is really starting to show form in this closing moments of the race here, into the final 5 minutes. Running out of time and running out of opportunity for Dykes to make the move for the lead. I get the feeling we'll maybe get 2 more laps. We'll have to see where they take the flag at the end of this one. Where the time is at the end of this one. Is out of turn 7, over the curb on the exit, getting past the traffic, flashing the lights. The next 2 cars up the road are Malott and Verkman, who are battling for position. That was Arvidsson who just let the racing duo go through towards turn 10 and 11. Dendy just looked to continue on the lead, continue holding on, holding the racing line. I wonder whether Dykes is just going to leave it till the last possible opportunity to make this move for the lead and not allow Dendy a chance to fight back. Up towards the chicane, traffic ahead. Dykes looks to the outside and then the inside. Can't get it done on the brakes, following on as they catch traffic. Verkman's dropped back. Can he get it done? No, he's trying to potentially optimise the exit and get the run down towards turn 1. But a slightly compromised line through that final corner has seen him lose a car length or so to his rival and teammate. Cross the line with just over 3 minutes to go. So yes, 2 more laps, including this one, as they round turn 1 and into the Mercedes arena. Dendy still leads. Traffic ahead is Malott, who's now been able to just pull a few seconds on Verkman for the fight for P22. As the traffic comes through, blue flags waving. This is really bubbling up into a thrilling finale. When will Dykes get the move done, as Dendy flashing the lights at the traffic ahead? Wants Malott to get out of his way as soon as he can to avoid any sort of compromised position or corner, and any time lost and any opportunity for Dykes to wrestle away the race lead. Adam Isalovic say this is a great battle. Dave Jr.'s in agreement, and make that 3, myself included. This is a spectacular fight between these Mob 7 esports cars for what is the victory in the second round of the season. Up the hill through the Michael Schumacher S. It's almost an 8-wheeled McLaren as they fly through the left and the right. Dykes closing up in the slipstream, but under the brakes, he seems to close up further. Dendy just slightly wide again of the apex through turn 10 as Workman gets past or defends from Arvidsson behind. Into turn 11. Wonder whether Dendy's done enough. Clock ticks under 90 seconds to go. When they cross the line, they will, I believe, be on the final lap of the race. Up towards the chicane for the penultimate time. Dendy through the left and the right. Clips the curbs as ever. 2 wheels it seems at times. Dykes so much quicker on the brakes. And here it goes. 5.148 kilometres separates Will Dendy from race victory in the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championship. That same distance, plus a McLaren, who is his teammate, separates Lewis Dykes from picking up back-to-back victories in this championship. Down towards turn 1. Malot's still in front. The traffic may be slightly distracting Will Dendy as they run through the first corner. Malot gets over to track right and out of the way, allowing both cars through at the same time. Very good driving from him. As Dykes looks to the inside, forces Dendy's hand. Dendy cuts tight into the corner there, parks the car on the apex to stop any momentum Dykes holds. But the run through turns 3 and 4, Dykes has got superior momentum it seems. He's closed right up under the rear ring of the number 28 as they come up towards turn 5, plunging down the hill as they transition from track right to track left to try and open up turn 6. Dykes is going to have to start thinking about setting up this move, potentially 2 or 3 corners in advance, and does that start at the bottom of the hill at turn 7. He's not quite close enough to challenge on the brakes, but through the middle of the corner, no! Dykes runs deep, might allow him to straighten up the exit, but I get the feeling he was somewhat compromised on the racing line there, and that was an error. Time has hit 0, so this should be the final lap as they charge up through the Michael Schumacher S. Will Dendy is only a matter of turns away from a race victory in this championship. Through the left at turn 10 and towards the Vorsteiner curve. Dykes is running out of opportunities. Does he lick the stamp and send it into the chicane? We'll find out in only a matter of seconds' time as they thunder through the Ad Van Bogen and climb the hill in towards the chicane. Dykes is looking to the inside. Is he just trying to distract Dendy? I believe he is. Into the braking zone. Dendy's cool as you like, but they are nose to tail. Is it going to be the final corner? Dendy defends. Dykes to the outside. Into the final turn. Dendy parks it on the apex to try and stop any momentum or any sort of cutback, but on the exit of the final turn, up towards the start-finish line and collecting the checkered flag, Will Dendy wins round 2 of the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championship. A stellar defensive drive to beat his teammate Lewis Dykes by 0.2 of a second. Kieran Vidago picks up consecutive podium finishes in P3 ahead of Aaron Martin Pilkington, who looked to have pace in this 75-minute race, but unfortunately was unable to overturn the time lost in the pit stop phase. Then it will be Richardson, who should come home to take the checker flag in P5, escaping relatively unharmed from a collision with Evan Dafas in the second half of the race. And as he rounds that final corner, Andrew Richardson's going to be very happy to pick up P5 after scoring P10 in the opening round at Kyalami. Bas van Melis is inside the top 10. He's trying to hold off Sander Vale, who he seems to have got past at the end of this lap. They are side by side into the chicane, but Vale just sneaks on through right at the deck to reclaim P10. Bas, though, should and will be crossing the line to collect victory in the AM class as Thomas van Schaik, albeit 6 or so tenths behind, has picked up a drive-through penalty in that final lap of the race. Van Melis P11. Vale rounds out your top 10. To complete the gaps there, Richardson was P5 ahead of Richards in P6. Then it's Mitchell, Hedges, De Swart, 7th, 8th and 9th. Then Vale, Van Melis, Schenk and Thomas van Schaik, who may lose position as a result of that penalty being converted. At the end, contact, Geordie Backer, Gav Utley spinning around on the exit of the chicane. Perfect positioning to just collect the back of the number 100 Pulse Motorsport Porsche and send him looping round on the run up to the final corner of the race. Van Schaik P13, De Kaiser P14. Then it's Verhoeven in 15th, ahead of Utley and Bakker, who managed to make it to the start-finish line right at the end there. Across the line ahead of Hopp and Cooper completing... Oh no, then it's Vargas, sorry, completing your top 20 positions. What a race that was. What a finish between Lewis Dykes and Will Dendy. Dykes doing everything he could to try and force a move on Dendy, who in turn had an answer to every single question. We won't waste any time. We'll drag the two drivers in to have a word immediately. They've crossed the checkered flag seconds ago, and our race winner, Will Dendy, is here joining us now. Will, race victory, 75 minutes to the Nürburgring, led from start to finish, albeit during the pit stop phase. But right at the end there, what a battle you had between you and Dykes. That was a very close finish.
Yeah, good evening, Lewis. Yeah, it was really close. Lewis is a cracking driver, and we've been testing together. And yeah, he's just brilliant, and he's a lovely lad too. We went karting together last Thursday, so I knew that he had really strong pace. And in the first stint, you know, I think I was a bit quicker. Lewis sustained a bit of damage. And then once he had new tyres on, I realised that he would have undercut me. So I didn't change my tyres, and I think that was a big mistake. I had a lot of pressure losses over the curbs, and as you can see, Tim, I really had to hold him off at the end there.
Absolutely. That was a question we had during the race as to whether you'd done a split strategy. Now, we talk a lot about tyres and ACC, it seems, and particularly after the biggest update recently. How was it trying to hold on to your rubber then across the 75 minutes? Like you say, your hand was almost forced in terms of the strategy to try and hold on to that race lead, but it's a completely different style of driving, isn't it, when you're trying to preserve rubber?
Yeah. So I knew that might be a potential, I might have to save my rudder. So in the first stint, I was just being a bit delicate with them, and I think that really paid dividends. I think the tyre wear isn't too bad. I think it had a good setup and the temperature's quite low, but it was mainly the pressure losses that caused me the biggest headaches. I think Lewis would have been quicker on new tyres, obviously, but I think he wouldn't have been able to. There was a point, I don't know, like when he was about 3 seconds away, every time I looked down at the delta, he was another 0.3 closer, and that happened for quite a few laps until he got in my dirty air. So tyres management was good. It was mainly the pressure losses that, was the difficult thing.
And after your race at Kyalami, which obviously didn't go quite to plan, picking up that penalty off the start, you must be very pleased to come away with maximum points this evening. Yeah, I was so frustrated, literally. In the last season I did with SSR at Alton Park, the very first thing that happened to me was a drive-through in the first race, and then exactly the same thing again. So, it's brilliant to have pole and win again, and hopefully we can mob 7-1-2 a few more times. Brilliant stuff. Well, congratulations, Will, and thank you very much for joining us post-race.
Cheers.
And go to our second place finisher, Lewis Dykes. Lewis, it was victory last time out at Kyalami as a result of a massive battle towards the end of the race. Here we are a couple of weeks later at the Nürburgring. Okay, you lost out in that fight this time, but you seem to find yourself in the thick of the action in these races. How was your event tonight?
Yeah, it was good. I bottled quali pretty well again, so need to improve on that. Put me behind Will, and then just after the first lap settled into a rhythm, I got absolutely smashed, giving me 4 or 5 seconds of damage just because someone just didn't hit the brakes. And then from then I was about 2 seconds behind Will and was just trying to catch up, really. It was very, very good. Will drove a really good race, and I noticed that as we got further into the race I was about 3 seconds off. I just pushed with all I had and managed to get up to the back of Will, but obviously I wasn't going to send anything. He's my teammate and the team game's more important. So I think P1, P2 is not a bad second week for the team.
Absolutely, and of course for you, a 1 in race 1, a 2 in race 2. can only assume you're hoping it's not a 3 in race 3. But what are your thoughts already in terms of the season? You know, you've had a near enough maximum score. Are you here to win the championship, or are you taking it race by race?
I mean, obviously, I think every driver who joins the championship wants to win. If you weren't doing it for that, then why would you be there? But I think for me, the team game is more important. Just starting out with MOB, so it's a new environment and just sort of doing all I can, really, keep improving. And if I win the championship, I win the championship. But if it's not me, I want it to be Dendy, and even better if it's both of us up there 1-2.
Third and final question for you, Lewis. Was the result of your karting battle with Will playing into the fight tonight? Did Will win and you wanted to get payback, or was Will trying to get one up on you to get revenge from what happened in the real world?
No, they were miles ahead. Well, I say miles ahead. They were about 1.8 seconds of that faster. So yeah, it was just. I mean, they're all pros. They all know what they're doing. So it was just sort of trying to hold my own, really, same as it was tonight. Didn't want to send anything on Will because obviously you never want to hit your teammate. That's sort of rule number 1. But it was a good battle. Did all I could with the car placement, but he just knew exactly where to place the car, and I couldn't get around him. So if it wasn't for traffic on my outlap, who knows? The result could have been different, but can't complain with a 1-2 for the team.
Brilliant stuff, Lewis. Thank you very much for joining us post-race. Congratulations on P2.
Much, guys. Cheers.
We're going to Kieran Vidago. Kieran, P3 at Kyalami, P3 here at the Nürburgring. You must be pleased with another podium, but I get the feeling you must be thinking, what do you need to do to close the gap to the Mob 7 guys?
Yeah, it's not a bad result for having done my first laps on the track today in that car. So I'm pleased with it. You know, if I'd put in a bit more practice, maybe I would have been a bit further up. But those two guys are, you know, really quick. Will's an absolute demon behind the wheel, so it's difficult to even get near him.
Absolutely. And how did you find the pit stop race? Obviously, we had 60 minutes last time out at Kyalami, and then we've had the pit stop event tonight. What was your strategy? Did you take tyres, or did you try and go the whole race on one set?
Yeah, I had no one around me, so I just took tyres and I played it safe. Yeah, simple.
Do you think that would be the strategy going forward? We've got a couple more, I believe, these 75-minute races in the championship. In other series, you know, when I've seen GT3 racing or mandatory stops, sometimes drivers try and leave it as late as possible to take the tyres and take a really, just a splash of fuel right at the end. Do you think there's movement for the strategy, or do you think it's going to be a fairly, simple pit halfway, split the race in two?
Well, it's for fuel. If you just take fuel, it's locked to 25 seconds. So there's only a 5 seconds difference between the two strategies. So most of the time, you're going to be better off taking the tyres, and you can get that 5 seconds back within 10 laps or something. So yeah, I think there needs to be a bigger variance in the difference between the fuel and the tyre strategy to get the fuel strategy to be a bit more dominant. You don't want it to be like how it was when there was it was free fuel, so you could just have a 3-second pit stop and then it was 25-second delta to make up. That was obvious. You were going to just not take the tyres and defend. But yeah, I think personally, I think tyre strategy is the way to go.
Brilliant stuff. Well, congratulations on P3 this evening, Kieran.
Thanks, mate.
So let's go over to Matt Richards. Matt, P6 in the standings at the end of that one, but it looked like you had a fun race in the Ginetta. 75 minutes in that car around the Nurburgring. Probably left a smile on your face.
A little bit, yeah. Nice to finally be back in the series and getting on the track. So that's a bit of fun. And yeah, just having fun not being the sheep that took all the other cars.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, did you have a bit of a lonely race, Matt? Because you gained a few positions, I believe, off the start, and then there's a bit of a buffer between you and Aaron Martin Pilkington, who was up the road. You never quite caught up to the back of Richardson in the 24 come the checkered flag. Was it, just down to pace? But you were kind of around that kind of 6th, 7th spot the entirety of the race.
Yeah, I was quite aggressive off the start. There's a couple of people I didn't want to be stuck behind, and I just wanted to get into a nice space. I did my first laps about 10-15 minutes before qualifying started, just because I've only recently bolted the rig back together after moving. So yeah, to get a result like that after being out of the series for so long and not being too far off the pace is a good sign. Especially, I think the Nürburgring isn't a particularly easy track for the Ginetta, and it's not one that I enjoy too much either. So yeah, just glad to enjoy it.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Matt. We've got a number of other drivers to chat to, but appreciate you dropping in post-race.
Cheers.
So let's go over to the winner of the AM category. That's Bas van Mellis. Bas finishing in P11, and it was so nearly P10, Bas, at the line. Just talk us through that final lap with Nicholas Malott.
Hey, Tim. Good evening. Well, obviously good to be back. Congratulations on Will, Lewis and Kieran on the top three. Yeah, the last lap was quite eventful. Sander, my teammate, was trying to overtake Danny. He was a bit ambitious, I think. So I managed to get alongside him. And I believe towards the last chicane, there was a back marker there. Wouldn't dare to say who it was, but I had to avoid him, and Sander overtook me just before the last chicane into the last corner. But yeah, near 10th place, and happy with the AM win, obviously.
Because a very strong performance from you. You seem to be the man to beat in the category. Do you think that sets you up for being a target out there on track? Do you feel like you're the person to beat, or do you think that it's fairly close between all the guys in the AM class?
Well, I think it's fairly close. In the first stint, I had Thomas Verschijk just behind me, who finished second. And where he was faster corner in, I could accelerate faster out. So we had a bit of a different cornering technique, so to say. And then he went in for the pit stop, probably trying to undercut me. And I went in straight away after, and in the end I believe I got out again roughly 3 seconds in front of him, and then catching up to Dimitri, Sander and Danny, who were driving the train. So yeah, it was a nice race, and I don't consider myself the man to beat, but I had pace at the Nürburgring, and I was happy with how it went.
One final question for you, Baz. It's to do with your liveries. Now, you've got a bit of a reputation for showing up with some pretty exciting liveries on your cars. My question for you is your Porsche Cayman design inspired by the Porsche LMDH that's been released recently? That's my guess.
Yeah, that's the one. Props go out to DMA, who has made the design. He's obviously made a great design, and you can imagine what kind of a nightmare it is to get all the lines to line up. So yeah, he did an amazing job. So thanks again, Stephen, for designing it. And well, if somebody needs a custom livery, I'll do some free advertising. Be sure to contact Stephen Stephen from DMA for a nice livery.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Baz. Congratulations on your race victory this evening.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Tim.
We'll go over to our... So I've got second and third in the commentary booth from the AM category. We'll go to Thomas van Schijk first. Thomas, P14 in the race, dropping a position, I believe, right at the end there as a result of a penalty. But you were close to Baz, if not, glued to his rear for the entirety of that 75-minute race. How was your event this evening at the Nürburgring?
Well, yeah, had a very good event. Was very close to Bas, but I was able to keep up, but just didn't have the pace to really attack him. And like you said, he was a bit faster on corner exits. I was a bit faster on corner entry, and it was really close. But he was just a few tenths faster every lap. And in terms of made a stupid mistake the last lap. Got a penalty of 30 seconds for the drive-through for the track limits. But yeah, in the end, it unfortunately, fortunately for me, it didn't matter because we had a big gap to number 3.
So across the race, obviously this is our first pit stop event of the season. What was your strategy going into the race, and what was the strategy that you pulled out? Did you find yourself changing how you were going to tackle the mandatory stop during the event, or did you stick to your guns?
I stuck pretty much to the plan that I set beforehand, and just first with the pit just after the halfway point, and in the end lost a little bit to Bas, but for me it was I think the best strategy for this evening.
Brilliant. And congratulations, Tom, on P2 in class. Thank you very much for joining us post-race.
Yes, thank you.
We'll go to our final driver here in the comms box. It's Dennis Verhoeven. Dennis, P15 overall, but a podium in class. You must be very pleased with the result today.
Yeah, I am. I didn't expect this because I started from P30 after poor qualifying, but somehow it went well.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just a case of staying out of trouble, isn't it? But starting, like you say, in P30, you must have been in the thick of the action on that opening stint. How was the traffic and how was battling with all these other cars out there on track?
It was pretty difficult, but I found my racing line in like lap 1 and everything went well. It avoided all the accidents and I gained I think it was around 7 positions in 4 corners. So I was quite lucky with the start, fortunately. And then, somehow with the pit stops, I came ahead of Utley, but he managed to overtake me with the colder tires. And I think Bakker went for a move in the last corner on the last lap, and they crashed. So otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Well, a podium nonetheless.
Yeah, podium nonetheless.
Absolutely. Don't do disservice to yourself. Another strong race. And did you feel it was an improvement on the race in Kyalami where you finished outside the top 20?
Practiced a little bit more and I'm way more comfortable now on the Nürburgring than I was in Kyalami. A little bit more consistent. I think that was the key with inside the top 20 and outside.
Absolutely, and of course over a slightly longer race that consistency is going to pay off. Thank you very much, Dennis, for joining us post-race, and congratulations on your P3 in the AM class.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all the drivers who have joined us then post-race. It's always great to hear their opinions directly after the checkered flag. There's no time to dust themselves down and think about what they're going to tell us. They come straight in and we delve deep into how their race went and their opinions on the racing action that we saw before us. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in this evening on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much to Dave Jr., Mariaka Van Mellis, to Nicholas Malott, who's just tuned in at the end there, as well as all the others that have been involved, Racing Noob, as well as Mike Abrenhoser, Mark Neutlings, Princey97, Aaron VD and Ross Chen. Thank you very much for parting with your time to enjoy the race with us this evening. If you haven't already pressed the like button for the stream, I ask you please do so before you depart from the stream and maybe try and take a lie down after some thrilling GT4 racing. It really goes a long way just having a few more thumbs up on the videos. And in this new era of the Simsport Racing International community, it's great to have kicked off with some very positive results on our broadcasts. We have you to thank and we have you to help continue that strong form into this new championships as well. So, round 2 of the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championship from Nürburgring is behind us. An exciting event. Dendy defending from Dyke for quite a long period of that final stint of the race. But it is Dendy that comes up top. Race victory to his name. But the Mob 7 Esports drivers will go again in 2 weeks' time. Next time, though, in terms of racing action here from Simsport Race International, we will have GT3 and GT3 and 4 in terms of the 2.4 hour series on the way. GT3 action next week on the 15th of February. 2 30-minute races at Alton Park. The first double-header event. We'll see the 2 races back-to-back on the same evening at the famous British circuit. I look forward to seeing you all then. And thank you very much for tuning in this evening. Until then, it's goodbye from me, Tim Fulbrook, and it's goodbye from broadcast director Tom Vandermeer. See you soon. Goodbye.